Good evening and thanks for joining us. The police officer at the center of what is now a murder case turned himself in today. He was whisked into a Toronto courthouse. And by this afternoon, Constable James Forcillo was once again a free man, released on $500,000 bail. Forcillo is accused of killing 18-year-old Sammy Yatim on a streetcar. It's a case that's highly charged, and Forcillo's lawyer is reminding people not to rush to judgment, to wait for the trial. Our Mike Drolet was in the courtroom today. Mike?
Donna, we've never seen a case quite like this, an emotionally charged atmosphere, an angry public. And while James Forcillo is presumed innocent, the court of public opinion keeps watching and judging those cell phone videos. Stone-faced, eyes never wavering, James Forcillo was ushered into court, the second officer in the history of Ontario's police watchdog agency to face a murder charge. Such is the interest in this case, Forcillo's appearance was moved to a larger courtroom. He stood expressionless throughout, leaning on a railing while glancing at the packed gallery.
He's very upset and in shock, quite honestly, and as I said, it's been very trying on him and his family and definitely stressful.
It took SIU 3 weeks to render its decision, an incredibly quick turnaround, but this case is unlike any other. Forcillo was caught on camera from multiple angles firing 9 shots at Sammy Yatim, an 18-year-old Syrian immigrant. Yatim was holding a knife on an empty streetcar. In the video, he can be heard yelling at police, who are standing 20 feet away. If he lunged at police, the video doesn't show it. Only Forcillo fired his weapon.
It's rare if you want to talk about murder cases in general, but when you look at the circumstances of this case, this is a case where Mr. Forcillo didn't ask to be at the foot of that streetcar. He was on duty, and he had a legal obligation to be there.
Hey guys.
Forcillo walked out of court after making bail today. The conditions were $500,000 for sureties, and he can't leave Ontario. Meanwhile, the focus now turns to the trial, where historically the Crown has a terrible record. 6 prior cases involving police in manslaughter or murder, 0 convictions.
Police officers have an expanded scope of justification for their use of force.
It's not that they get preferential treatment, it's just that the law looks at them somewhat different when they're out there in the line of duty.
Now making this case even harder for the Crown, the charge, second-degree murder. They have to specifically prove intent, that James Forcillo intended to kill Sammy Yatim. Now, we don't expect to have a judgment in this case for a while. It could take years before we get to trial. Donna?
All right, Mike Drolet in Toronto, thanks. And the new federal justice minister, Peter MacKay, weighed in on the Yatim case today. Peter MacKay wouldn't comment on the specifics of the case, but did say it raises questions, including about police training.
I would say generally this is a very tragic case, and it highlights a number of important issues, not the least of which is issues that pertain to mental health questions, police training, but I think I'll leave it at that.
Toronto's police chief and Ontario's ombudsman have both launched reviews of police training and de-escalation techniques.